1970s PVC fittings. Let's start with this Gsr Pvc Elbow. Back in the 70s, they mainly manufactured fittings in this off-white beige color, but Gsr and Plastiline also manufactured gray PVC. Gsr made the fittings a little bit darker. Gsr is not even around anymore. Now the reason why this fitting is so short sweeping is because it's a vent fitting. Vent fittings are only needed to supply air to the plumbing system. No water is going through them, so you don't need to worry about clogs. Now this is 1.25 inches. It's a size you don't really use anymore. You mainly use it for repair work. Let's take a look at the fitting. These are the hubs where the pipe would go into. Pretty much the same on the other side. So you can see, this is Gsr. That's actually the head of a screw. When they're screwing these molds together, the screw head would show up in the plastic. Looks like some sort of part number. NSFDWV. DWV means drain, waste, and vent. That means you use this for a sink drain and a sink vent. This is PVC. Here's one of the beige Gsr fittings. This is a reducing combo fitting. These are mainly used on their back where a normal sanitary tee wouldn't be allowed. I usually use these under kitchen sinks in the basement. So pipe is coming down through the basement and then going down to 2-inch PVC, and then that goes down through the rest of the line, and then this is the clean out. You could also use this as a vent fitting for a shower. Have your P-trap going into here, and this is a line that catches a vent. It's actually very smooth on the inside. Gsr, this one says UPC on it, the other one didn't. NSFDWV, same screw head, different part number. It also says PVC. Now here's one made by U-Brand. U-Brand is also not around anymore, but this is a fabricated factory assembled fitting. They took a street elbow and they glued it into a reducing Y and they made their own. I don't know the part number for this fitting, because if I looked, I'd just see the part number for these original fittings. So this is a 2 by 1.5 Y, and they took an 1.5 street elbow, they glue these two together, and then it made this reducing fitting. This is usually how I do it. I usually don't use combo fittings, because I found that these ones are a lot more of a long sweep. And they pre-made this one, I just make my own. Here's a Nibco fitting. Nibco is one of the only brands that I'm showing you that is still around. And this is a P-trap with the clean out. I find it amazing that somebody didn't lose the clean out. A lot of times you see these and the clean outs are missing. See, PVC, Nibco, that's the Nibco part number. They still make this fitting. It's just not beige and it looks a little different. And an NSFDWV. And this is a clean out plug. They still make them this way, but it has this little 3/4 inch washer. And then as you tighten this down, it makes a seal. But one of the most common problems I found with these is this seal will actually squeeze out, so I mainly just use a Genova P-trap. This is actually missing the elbow, the wall elbow, to connect it to the pipe coming out of the wall. Here's a white Gsr fitting. This is a little bit newer. See, it says Gsr, UPC approved, screw head, NSFDWV. I don't know which is which. And then it says PVC. Now this is a street elbow. Now these fittings are very nice, because if you have a pipe that's not quite lined up, I always have a few extra of these. I can kind of get it to work if I have one of these. Now this slides into a fitting on one, and a pipe slides into the other end. Now this fitting is going to go with the double Y that I'm going to show you. So this is a 3-inch double Y. And we mainly use these fittings if we're connecting two toilets. So you take, on one side, take the elbow, and you could connect on the toilet, you could swivel it any angle. And go there, another one there, and this would be the vent that would go up. Now you could also use this fitting on a horizontal position. You could use this for doing rough plumbing in a bathroom. So maybe you could have an elbow going off to a toilet. This could be the vent, and that could be the shower drain. This is a Gsr Reducing Y. It's like one of the U brand fittings I showed you, except it has a smaller hub on the top. You'd mainly use this under a kitchen sink. So, pipe coming out of the wall, we're going from 2-inch down to an 1.5-inch P-traps. You could glue in trap adapters, or you could glue in a regular Schedule 40 P-trap. Here's another 1.25-inch Gsr fitting, except this one can be used on a drain. Since it's long sweeping, it can't be used in a horizontal position like this. It can only be used like this. If you use it like this, you could have problems with clogging. Different part number, but it pretty much just has the exact same things on it. Here's a larger Gsr elbow. Now this is another 45-degree elbow, except this is a regular one. It's not a street fitting. So you could use this in conjunction with a Y fitting, except you'd have to make a little filler piece to connect the two. Now what I've noticed about these Gsr fittings is they look a lot like new Canplast fittings. I don't know if Canplast is using the old Gsr molds or what, but even the hubs look the exact same. Here's some Genova fittings. Genova is still around. This is a Genova Sanitary Tee. You use these fittings a lot when you need to connect a vent to a drain. That's the vent going up, that's a P-trap, and that's the main drain. This is a 45-degree elbow. You could use this with this Y to do a connection like that. This is Genova, NSF-DWV, UPC approved. Patent number 3677301. That was for these Genova twist lock lugs. Back then they made a Genova twist lock plug. It was basically a clean out plug. So it had a gasket on it. You'd slide it into the hub and would lock over these nubs to make a seal. Now they don't make those nubs. They removed them in 1990.